Hey guys, it's Eric G, and I have a special offer for you. Do you want to get the podcast a couple days early? How about extended content that isn't in the typical podcast? Maybe you want to check out all the back episodes of the show. And I got a special deal for the month of August. The first 10 days are free. I want to personally invite you to be an Around the House insider. For about $4 a month, you can get exclusive extended episodes, early access to the weekend show, and exclusive access to me, Eric G, for project questions or comments. Check on the link on your podcast player in the show notes, or head to aroundthehouseonline.com and look for the join here button. Make sure and sign up today because this special deal only goes through the month of August. As always, thanks for tuning in to Around the House.
It's Around the House. When it comes to remodeling and renovating your home, there is a lot to know, but we've got you covered. This is Around the House.
Welcome to the Around the House show, the next generation of home improvement. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Eric G. Happy middle of the week. Man, we are cruising up on Labor Day weekend. Hope everybody's got some great plans this weekend, whether you're heading to the lake, head to the mountains, head to the beach, or just chilling out and relaxing at home. I hope you can take some time for yourself and relax before we get back into fall here. We still got more summer left, technically, but this is always the last hurrah of summer officially out there. And I wanted to talk about a heavy subject today because I think it's super important. And quite frankly, it's something we don't tackle a lot here. And we try to actually steer away from it because it's politics. And if there's something two people can't agree on, it's politics in the United States. And there's usually a lot of energy behind that. And it's problematic to discuss, but as homeowners or future homeowners, it's something that I think we need to have a real discussion about. And the thing is, this is not about one political party versus other political parties, because in my opinion, the political parties are there to take money out of your pocket and create division because that creates more money. And that's how our system works here, unfortunately. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how this affects us as homeowners as elections come up, because there's a lot of local things going on, there's state things going on, there's federal things going on. And I wanted to talk about a few of those things right now, because a lot of these come down to some serious money, and that's taxes. And that is something that can really affect homeownership out there, because in some places, that can add $5,000, $10,000 a year to your monthly bills that have to get paid to the government. So one of the biggest problems that I see out there is that we have with our two-party system that we've got out there is we've got a lot of us versus them mentality. And right now we're seeing a lot of this. We're going to tax the rich and we're going to give some benefits to the poor. The problem is the rich ones, or the people that are making the most money, are the biggest donors to both political parties. And that means, guess what? They're really controlling the purse strings when it comes down to it. So we could play this game from either party, but we know that they're the ones in the box seats that are sitting there at the conventions that paid $1 million, and they're the ones writing the big checks. So let's not fool ourselves with this party is about me, the little guy, because it's really not. Now, one party might give you more benefits. One party might give you more perceived benefits, but that's up for you to decide and not for me to preach you on. But I wanted to talk today about some of the problems that we're seeing right now at the local levels. We're seeing across the United States something that we're not talking a lot about, and that is many school districts have overspent their funds. What do? They took that COVID money and actually hired teachers and brought in more administrators. Less teachers, more administrators, actually. And they put them into social media accounts and things like that they're out there running for them. The problem that we're seeing with that is COVID dollars ran out from the government, and now they've got these huge budget shortfalls. Now, instead of going back and saying, hey, we're gonna get rid of these administrators we hired 2 years ago, we're gonna start to get rid of trade programs, music programs, all those things in schools that are easy for them to cut. And that really affects all of us. So if you like the arts, if you want to have people learning the trades in school, those are the programs getting cut right now. They're not cutting out the extra administrators. So this is a problem that we want to see. So if you have children or if you are following the school district in your area, make sure and show up for those budget meetings. Take a look at it. Follow the school in your area and make sure that you're hearing what's going on, because this is going across the country. Some states have spent worse than others. Some areas have made some big mistakes. I know areas around here, around me in the Pacific Northwest, there are dozens of school districts laying off hundreds of people, and they're killing hundreds of programs out there. And so that's one of those things that we need to hold some accountability to. So pay attention to that, because we got to keep those trade programs open. So we don't have kids out there with no skills going into the workplace after they leave high school because they weren't meant to go to college. They're better electricians, they're better plumbers, they're better HVAC techs, they're better builders. And so I want to really make sure that we've got them taken care of. And that's our job as parents out there and homeowners and taxpayers to make sure that stuff is happening. So as our governments and our school districts get bloated with more administration, more overhead, make sure we're holding them accountable as homeowners, because guess what? We're the ones paying those taxes. So that's the first one there. Second of all, anytime that I see the government coming up with new ways to tax us, I get very concerned, because it kicks the door open for that program to expand. And that's really what's happened to our federal government, why it's so big out there, because every year they're trained to ask for 2, 3, 4% more money. And after 50 to 100 years, that got really expensive and really bloated, and we just pay more for it and get less services. So be very careful when people are talking about new taxes, because that means new revenue that is going to affect you. As a homeowner, these are things that we're going to tax these big corporations that are making money. Those big corporations could be Home Depot, it could be Lowe's, could be your local lumberyard chain. Those things are going to show up in your housing prices because those materials are more expensive. Just as you see that with appliances, LG, Samsung, Whirlpool, GE, all these companies. If they're cranking more corporate taxes on them, rest assured you're paying for that the next time you go buy something. So anytime that someone is talking about new taxes out there, realize that tax trickles down to you on this, because these companies are going to still make the same money. Right now, they're probably making less because of how things have hit us. If you think about it as people right now, in the United States, we're in a tough spot with what it costs for us to survive right now. It's up 20+% for most people, if not more. So I want to make sure that we're not making this worse in the years ahead. So be very careful of the word taxes. Now, there's something that's been coming up here that's been all over social media, and it's something to be very careful with. And this is my best advice to you guys out there. If you see a news story that pops up or social media pictures about something, great example. This last week, there was something blowing up about Lowe's where some social media influencer put out a meme basically saying that the Lowe's CEO said, you conservatives can go to Home Depot if you don't like our policies, or something to that effect. Probably paraphrasing that incorrectly, but it was basically that. Now, here's the thing. They didn't say that. That CEO didn't make that comment on CNBC. It was literally completely 100% false. Never was said. But Lowe's took a lot of heat this last week because of that, even though it was 100% fake news that got retracted. But guess what? That meme just kept traveling around the internet, and it got a lot of people fired up. And that stuff we just don't need these days. It's not worth the hassle. So before we share stuff up, and it's something that I try to do, and I don't make many mistakes in this, when I see a story come out, I do my research, Google it up real quick, try to find the quote, try to find the article. Now, if a presidential candidate is saying, I'm doing this, I go back and search and find where they said it, because I want to see it. Because right now, there's a lot of news organizations out there that are national, and I'm not talking about really the network guys, but there is guilty as well. But I'm talking about print, online, those kind of things, where they're making statements. It's not what the candidate's saying at all. They're guessing. They're saying, I think they're going to support. That's not news. I want to make sure that we're following what's good and what's the right information. So take your time and dig through it if you can, so you don't get sucked into that trap on social media. To tell you what, it can be really rough. Now, one of the things that I'm really worried about right now And it's something that came up in the presidential stuff this last week, and it's not clear with what exactly is going on because, again, presidential candidates haven't said it, and we're getting a lot of speculation. And that is, as a homeowner, this could be a big deal for you if they move the bar of what the rules are. And it's something we've never been taxed on before, and that is unrealized gains. We have capital gains, and then there's this theory of unrealized capital gains. Capital gains is when you bought a house a few years ago, you fix it up, you sold it, it was your primary house, and guess what? You made $800,000 on it because you did it perfectly, it was a wreck, and now you've got some serious capital gains tax to pay. That's one thing. Unrealized capital gains is the perception of what your house currently is and how that works would be. And this is important. If I purchased a house for $400,000 and it appreciates $50,000 the next year, an unrealized gain at 25%, which means I have to pay the government $12,500 in tax, whether I sell the house or not. And then next year, if I lose $50,000 and it's back down to it because we had a housing correction, I don't get that money back. And to me, I don't care if that's going to be somebody over $1 million, $500 million, 50 or 100. In my opinion, that is a dangerous precedent to set because it's real easy for them to go, oh, it didn't bring in what we thought at $50 million. So we're going to bring it down to 1. Now, where that affects you is if you've got a 401k or you've got any of these things, stock markets, you've got maybe a family farm. These are things we need to be really careful with. And I would recommend to everybody to take a hard look at it because once we let that Pandora's box open of that new tax rate, I guarantee they're going to be moving that thing around. So be very, very careful with what we choose this next year. It's a great example here in Oregon. We've got to pay attention to those tax measures too as well. We've got a measure here that says, basically, if I was to paraphrase, and even people across the board are saying it's poorly worded, but basically it's a profits tax for corporations. If you get above a certain rate, that they're going to tax that. Unfortunately, here we've had some businesses move from California up to Oregon because it's a little bit better of a business atmosphere here. The problem we're going to see, though, is those companies are going to move to another state again. As we've been seeing the businesses move out of California, you're going to see that happen. So I think it's a really bad precedent for us here. And they're going to give that money back to the people, which has a second thing. For low-income people out there, this could be a really big deal because if you're on food stamps, if you're on some government program for low income, that little check that you get from the government could actually put you in a worse position because it could kick you up above out of any of those federal programs out there for the free lunch programs, food stamps, any of that stuff that you're trying to get. It could hurt your kids' low income college scholarships. These are all things we've got to be very careful with. And trust me, I want people to get up and get out of poverty, and I want them to get up and live a good, comfortable life without having people in the household working 80 hours a week and busting their chops and be able to live a comfortable life. I just want to make sure that we're doing it correctly. So my advice out there, if I was to wave a magic wand, is I think we don't need more government. I think we need smarter government. And that's going to end up probably, we need to cut some stuff back, guys. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We're getting less services. I think it's time for them to cut back like we've had to cut back as citizens in the United States. Let's see if we can get, I bet you if we had them look at their budget, had somebody outside coming in, bet you could get 30% out of the government to cut back. Boy, why raise the taxes on us when they should be cutting back like we've had to? People aren't going out as much. We're not going to see as many football games. We're not going to the beach, or the coast, or the mountains, or camping like we did. We're not going on those big vacations, many of us right now, because things are too expensive. About time we tell them to do the same thing. That's my soapbox for the day. Coming up this weekend, I want everybody to be really safe and have a wonderful time out there. There is some great times to be had this weekend. Relax, R&R. I'm going to be doing that. I got a great concert I'm going to on Friday night. Can't wait up in Seattle. If you're going to be up there to go see Metallica like I am, and Mammoth, Eddie Van Halen's kid, it's going to be a great show. Send me a message over on Facebook or Instagram if you're going to be up there. I'll maybe have a beer with you if you're around. I'm Eric G. Thanks for tuning in to Around the House. This is a great midweek special. Wanted to get that off my chest. Don't get mad at me. And if you are, guess what? I'm just trying to speak the truth from my perspective. Have a great rest of the week, everybody. If you want to find out more about us, head to aroundthehouseonline.com. We'll see you Saturday. Thanks for tuning in.
Somewhere unseen and undiscovered, anywhere beyond the mean. Life is a love song, let's be lovers. We're all over the radio. Take my hand, I know where to go. All over the radio with you.
Hey, it's Eric G from Around the House. Are you tired of low quality water in your home? Do you have bad tasting water? How about chemicals, minerals, and hard water scale tearing up your bathrooms, appliances, and your water heater? I have a great solution for you. It's time you stop the damage and check out King Water Filtration. This water treatment system takes care of every drop of water that comes into your home. It uses no salt, no expense filters to change, and it's made right here in the USA. Plus, it prevents hard water scale. To find out more information, head to kingwaterfiltration.com, and if you use promo code ERIC-23, it will give you $1,000 off MSRP with a discount on a filter that will resolve those water quality issues. Don't miss out on this amazing sale on a product made right here in the USA at kingwaterfiltration.com. That's kingwaterfiltration.com. And don't forget promo code ERIC-23.